Okay, this episode starts off with all the fallen soldiers, so to speak, of all the crime families, both Fada and Cannon. My personal favorites were Dr. Senator and Rabbi. We see the Smutnies get the keys back to their home, and Lemuel is leaving with a box. Leon tells the Smutnies, "Your daughter is smart," and they're like, "We know." And Lemuel probably is surprised that Alfredo was even able to persuade his dad. We see Dr. Harvard back to himself, lollygagging with the staff, talking about the murderess, Orietta Mayflower, and how she was working right under them. And he's just back to himself. Oh, and most importantly, we see Lloyd meeting E-Ball in the park. We see Lloyd giving E-Ball the ring, and Lloyd getting a little cocky now. He like, "Yeah, clean up your house and then we come back and talk." And we see Jasto, who's look like he's spinning out of control. You know, he's drinking and smoking and just reminiscing about what happened, how Gaetano had to slip on that stupid ass rock and blow his brains out. Also the fact that Jasso is losing this war. He was already, both of them was fairly losing. They were getting tired, getting short of men. The people that their allies they thought they would have alliances with, that was kind of shaky. Otis playing both sides of the fence. Jasto, like Lloyd, is frustrated. He's tired. This war is draining him. The next thing we see with Jasto is Jasto pulls up to the hospital. He comes from behind of Dr. Harvard, and he clocks him with the pistol. Dr. Harvard buckles, and he throws Dr. Harvard in the backseat of his car, and he also have Mr. Gillis there with him, and Mr. Gillis he's looking at Dr. Harvard like, "Who are you?" This shit is crazy, and Jasto done lost his everlasting mind. A few moments later, we see Jasto, and his car is riddled with bullet holes, and he done lit that motherfucker up, shooting and killing Mr. Gillis and Dr. Harvard, all because he's in an emotional state. They had nothing to do with the war, but he is very emotional, and this is how he reacts. And then we have Orietta. Orietta posted a bail. We don't know who bailed her out. And she asked the officer, and the officer like, "Ma'am, I do not know who bailed you out." We also see that Zero was returned back to the Fada family, safe and sound, at the park when Lloyd met up with Abel. Next up, we got Happy and his crew, and they're lollygagging and kicking, telling stories at the same diner that Dr. Senator used to always go to. Happy really think he made a chess move. Little do he know, the man walking with the box that appears to be long stem roses, those roses has a shotgun in it, and the man pulls the gun out. And then the waiter, he pulls a gun from behind the counter, and they make their way to Happy and his crew, and they lit their asses up. Happy isn't happy anymore. He's dead. And he done made a checkers move. He was playing checkers the whole time instead of playing chess. So while that's going on, over at Lloyd's office, we see him staring out the window, and we see Leon creeping up behind him with a silencer on his handgun. And little did Leon know that Opal was right behind him, and Opal came up behind him, and he strangled the everlasting life out of his body. Lloyd didn't turn around not one time. And while that is going on, Jasto gets waken up by one of his goons, and the goon like, "Boss, we got him. We got Cannon. The war is over." Jasto like, "What? For real? All right." His goon tell him, "Come on out. We gonna celebrate." When Jasto steps into the room, you see E-Ball and all the other mob members standing behind him. And you see Orietta. Jasto says, "What's going on here?" He said, "We got Cannon. Should we be celebrating?" So E-Ball like, "Where's your brother?" And Jasto said he didn't make it. But what's going on here? So E-Ball like, "Jasto Fada, you stand accused of crimes against your family. You have put your needs above the needs of the greater good. You betrayed us, New York, and the homeland. You conspired with this woman to kill your own father. Jocelyn said, what? Apple said, your papa was sick, barely alive, and you asked this nurse to kill him. Jocelyn said, no, it never happened. So Orietta was like, Jocelyn like, shut up. Ebal said, you can't silence the truth. Tell him. So Orietta said, well, they act so nicely, and with all the pea shooters talking about all the guys around, I figure, why should I lie? Jessel, like, he was dying, from the BB gun, those kids. He was dying. Tell them, Orietta. Orietta said, well, I am an honest person that crosses her T's and hearts her I's. Now, I'll be remiss if I didn't afford myself truthfully in front of these nice gentlemen and my Lord and Savior. Well, you kind of did. You know what you said. He was in a lot of pain. I don't want to see him like this. Also, can you take care of him? Jasso is confused as fuck. She like, we got high. She's just a skirt. I met her one time. And Apple said, well, she was at the funeral. And Jasso said, okay, 2 times. Orietta said, well, let's not forget all those nights at my apartment. Now, I said in the first review, I think it was, that I don't really think Jasso gave her he didn't know that he was telling her to kill her father. I don't think so. I believed in my heart that he didn't know that Orietta was going to kill him. And with all the events that's going on, it just seems like that's exactly what he tried to do. Just like he didn't kill his brother, but look at what happened, and they don't believe that he didn't kill his brother. Jasso said, look, this lady is a crazy person, and I'm the boss, and I'd order that y'all stop this bullshit right now. So Ebal tells Jasso, like, look, this family business, fathers, uncles, brothers, all that shit gonna stop. We in a new world, and we need a new way. Jasso still not realizing that he done fucked up and he's no longer boss. He like, look, I gotta go piss. And he tried to go piss and the goon stopped. Ebal continues and he directs his attention at Orietta and he says, this boss, they said you killed him, your boss? So Orietta said, well, technically he survived, so I didn't kill him. Ebal looking like, what the fuck? He asked Jasso like, assassin, this is what you want, assassin. Jasso said, no, she was just a fucking roll around. She liked it rough. Orietta said, you liked it rough. I think at this moment, Jasso realized that Orietta is a fucking nutcase. I think it just popped to him like, this bitch is a psycho for real. Jasso like, you think I would kill my father? My father? How dare you? Ebal pulled out the ring and he like, you killed your father so you can wear the crown. You killed your brother so you don't have to share it. And this is why the family business doesn't work. Because families are crazy. Jasso like, wait till I'll tell New York about this. Ebal was like, oh, New York knows. And the goons, they came and scooped Jasso up and dragging him out. And Jasso was just having a fit. You full-blooded Italian, you ain't shit. And they took Orietta up out of there. Jasso and Orietta are now in the car with some goons and they're riding up the road. So Orietta started explaining herself and telling Jasso she's sorry. So Jasso like, I don't want to hear it. Orietta says, well, I was just trying to tell the truth. And Jasso said, oh, you going to tell me the truth now? Why you didn't tell me the truth when I was at the hospital? You a demented hag. So Orietta said, don't call me that. He said, hag. And Orietta just charged at him and they just go fighting in the back of the seat of the car. The goon had to pull the pistol out to make them chill out. They finally reached their destination, which is a grave. Jasso is trying to talk his way out of it. And Orietta is just putting her red lipstick on, checking herself out, making sure she look good. Orietta appears to have accepted her fate and ready to face her consequences. Jasso is still trying to bargain his way out. And the goon is like, nah, I'm sorry, I can't do it today. And he pulls out his pistol and he asks, any last requests? So Orietta like, yeah, so can you shoot him first so I can watch? Because y'all know she into BDSM and she got a twisted mind. So this is like the perfect way for Orietta to die. Jasso said, what? As soon as he said what, pow, a bullet to his head, and he's dead in the grave. Orietta does seem to be fascinated by that, very turned on by that. As she turned back around to face her executioners, she looks inside the mirror, the window of the car, and we see the ghost Roach. I really believe Roach was there as to say, "This is for Ethelreda, bitch." I really, really do. And the next thing we see is Orietta being shot, and she falls into the grave right along with Justo. Yeah, I think this was a perfect way for both of them to go out because both of them was crazy and twisted. Okay, back over to Lloyd and his family. Him, his wife, and two girls. They pulled up to the house, and the door is open a bit. So he tells Bill to stay back with the girls, and he goes in the house and check it out. Check to see what's going on. So he got his gun out. He walks in the door. He sees some pants laying on the floor, and he goes into the dining room, and he see, a bowl of food, and a little family of figurines. The mother, father, and 4 children. That's what it looks like. The figurines did. It looks like a family. So he makes his way up the steps, and also we see Satchel's red hat. So when I seen the red hat, I instantly knew it was Satchel. And as Lloyd is walking in the door, we see a rabbit, and Satchel is laid on the bed sleeping. So, Lloyd goes over there. He's overwhelmed. He's happy to see him. He embraced him, hugged him. And Satchel, like I said, I don't know if it's how the role is being played that's just so poorly, or maybe I know that Satchel came back and he's going to be a changed boy. He's not, the world's not going to be the same because of all the things he's been through, the trauma. And he's not going to be the same, but I didn't get no emotions from him. So Bill come in the door, and she's just thinking the worst, or I don't know exactly what she thinks. She hears Lloyd calling her name, babe, babe. So they went downstairs, and she was so happy to see Satchel, and they embraced, and she's crying. Satchel gives her more love than he did with Lloyd. So we have Satchel hugging his mom, and his 2 sisters come in, and they're just happy that, Satchel is back home and they don't have to make funeral arrangements for him. Also in that scene, we see the 3 Bears story, the Goldilocks and 3 Bears story, when Satchel left the food at the table and he was upstairs in the bed asleep. So they gave us a reference of, Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, like Hunk was saying in the story. Does Satchel feels like he don't know where he belongs? Because I'm sure he don't feel like he belongs in the family, after all the things that he'd been through and how he had to find his way home. He don't understand that, that his family was looking for him the whole time, and how they sent Umi out to find him, and Umi himself was killed. Lloyd got his son back. He felt like he won the war. It's on the up and up now. Lloyd meets up with Ebal, and Ebal's like, is all forgiven, and Lloyd says, back to business. Ebal said, well, it's some minor adjustments that I had to tell you about, so here you go. So Lloyd looks at the paper, and he realized that Ebal done took half of the business. Lloyd says, well, this is not what we agreed upon. We didn't agree upon this. This is half my business. We had a deal in the park, remember? And this wasn't a fucking deal. Ebal said, please be calm. This is just our national deal, the deal for the nation. For New York, California, New York City, Kansas City. You have national business, right? Oh, no, you don't. You're one man in one city. Just like the saying say, big fish, small pond. We are the sea. And I can tell what you're thinking, that you can just kill me like you did the rest. But you don't know the man behind me and the man behind him, and so on and so forth. We have big waves. You see it. And look at it like this. We're not taking half. We're leaving half. You work for us now, and you do what we say, or we'll kill you, and we'll find somebody else to take your place. And that's the end of the story. Lloyd looks over at his goon, Opal, who looks like he feels sorry for Lloyd. Opal been right down with Lloyd since the beginning. He's like another confidant that Lloyd has, like he did with Dr. Senator. He may not be as wise and intelligent as Dr. Senator, but he sure was a confidant and had Lloyd's best interest at heart when it came to this game. And he would tell Lloyd, you need not to put up with this. You need not to accept this. We have to end this, boss. And now he's witnessing Lloyd in this vulnerable position, watching him basically get fucked in the ass. And he just looked like he feel real sorry for him. So they leave, and driving home, Lloyd looks so defeated. Yes, he did not lose the war, but he didn't really win it. Also, it seems like he has less now compared to when he first started even messing with the Potter family. They pulls up to Lloyd's house, and Lloyd tells Opal to go home. So Opal like, you sure? He like, yes, the war is over. Go home. So Lloyd goes up to his house and he looks at his family through the window. We got Lemuel there playing the sax. The girls are playing on the floor. His wife is doing her thing in the kitchen or something. And Satchel is reading the book that Hunk referred to him. I think he said it was a book on inspiring people and making friends or something like that. And Lloyd is just taking this all in. His picture perfect family is back together again. And it is something beautiful to step back and look at your family. Like, I like doing that with my children. I like taking a step back and look at them. Like, look what I done. Look what I created. And as he's taking that moment, we just see Zelmir come up from behind him and stab his ass up. Stab him up. She is gutting him like a fish. And when Lloyd turned around and he sees Zelmir, his eyes got even bigger, like he wasn't even expecting that, which he probably wasn't. He probably thought, Otis really took care of both of them. And he never even expected Zelmir to come from out the sky like that, because she came from out the sky behind the bushes somewhere. And Zelmir said, this is for Swanee. Satchel notices his father getting falling or something to the ground. He sees some type of suspicious activity. So he goes to the door. He sees his father laying there. And, Zelmir gave him the finger over the mouth like, shh. And this slow motherfucker, Satchel, he says nothing. And I just think it's a mental thing at this point. Like, I don't know if this is resentment because of what his father did to him, but this little boy has like no emotions. I would be afraid if you see something like that and you do not say anything. He goes up to Lloyd and he looks Lloyd in his eyes, and Lloyd is fighting for his breath. And Satchel is just looking at him. And he watched his father take his last breath. Before Lloyd took his last breath, he put his hands on Satchel's face, and so Satchel's face has blood, his father's blood on it. And he's just watching him die, watching the life leaves from out his body. And we end the season off with Ethel Ryder reading her parents it seems like a college entry essay. And it looks like she got in, and it looks like she's studying abroad because we see the painting of the Moorish execution. So I figured maybe she's somewhere in Europe studying. She liked her French and everything. So, and Ethel Ryder had a very bright future ahead of her. This was a perfect ending, and I loved this season. I really did. I went back and I watched season 2. That was cool. It was good. But y'all tell me what y'all think and talk to me. I see people watching, but y'all don't talk to me. I want y'all to subscribe, and I'm thinking about doing a review on The Lord's Good Bird. Also, maybe Power, because I can catch up. I'll be on time on current events as far as like TV. And I won't be dragging so late behind. But y'all tell me what y'all like, don't like. Leave me a comment. Show me that y'all friendly. Bye.